Morning, this is the House Appropriations Committee. It's Friday, March 20th, 2025. It's a little before 11 a.m. and we are back from another roll call, a couple of roll calls. And we are going to continue our conversation with age 657, which I'm shortening to homeless youth. I know it's more than that, but that was some of how it came to us. We have Chair Wood with us. I did check about Judiciary. They saw it. The chair of House Judiciary is not going to have an amendment. I think that Chair Wood can talk about what their conversation around that was, and also help answer some of our questions, because I think we need a better understanding of the bill than we do now.
Thank you. Teresa Wood here from House Human Services. Just briefly, in terms of Judiciary, they took quite a bit of testimony. It was primarily around the immunity clause, and they are not going to be offering an amendment, as your chair said. We are going to be making the House Committee on Human Services will be having a a technical amendment on that. They just wanted to make one technical change, but it didn't impact the intent of the bill.
Pausing on that for a moment.
Yes.
Are you going to have that today? Are we going to just do a straw poll later? It'll be next week.
It's next week.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then also in that amendment, something that, through cutting and pasting and all the different versions of this bill that we had, was not in the bill, but it should have been. And that's the age for which I don't have the bill in front of me, unfortunately. I can't tell you which sections, but it's the sections that you were talking about, I think, just before we broke for the roll calls. And those ages are age 16 and 17. It does not apply to any youth. It's age 16 and 17. So
for what is this?
I think what you have referred to, Madam Chair, as the runaway youth or the homeless youth we call them unaccompanied youth.
Yeah.
Those are youth who lack the active assistance of their parents or guardians. And what this bill does is enables them to do, frankly, simple things like be able to make a doctor's appointment if they have, the flu, be able to get or apply for a license, be able to apply for a driver's permit, be able to access a homeless youth shelter. Those are the types of things that this covers. So it is not for very young children. And I want to be clear that it is very rare for the Department for Children and Families to take into custody a youth of that age, because they're reaching adulthood shortly.
So when we talk about unaccompanied youth, we're talking about ages
16 and 17.
16 and 17.
Yes. There's an amendment being drafted to make sure that that's here. No one is here?
Do you know what sections of the bill we're talking about with this part?
Katie does.
Sorry, do you want to come to the table, because I think we're going to have some confusion. And then I see that you have a question.
So it'd be section 4 of the bill.
Okay.
It'd be section 4 of the bill where it would specify the ages. Let me pull up the amendment. It would be the definition of homeless child or youth would mean an individual 16 or 17 years of age who lacks fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence.
Okay. So this is not the kid who gets mad at his mother and runs away from home.
No,
Who's 9.
it is not.
Yeah.
Little wagon.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
Okay, so now.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lynn had a question too. Lynn?
Yeah,
I was just going to ask, how does this interact with the emancipated youth?
I don't know the answer to that question.
These are youth who have not been emancipated. So this is a different process. They don't have the rights of youth who have been emancipated. There's some legislative intent language that's being added through the amendment that I think sort of is helpful in understanding the position that these children are in. It reads that in instances in which severe family dysfunction, such as abuse, neglect, child abandonment, or lack of financial support has left a child or youth homeless, and other supports such as foster care are deemed inappropriate, it is the intent of the General Assembly to provide an unaccompanied youth with the resources necessary to obtain services and benefits that the unaccompanied youth's peers can obtain with the consent of a parent or guardian.
That will be in the amendment.
That's going to be in the amendment.
Yes.
Okay. Wayne, do you want to ask your
Yeah,
questions
so-
you got?
Well, it's great that it's not little kids, but even 16, 17-year-olds, what my concern is, you already know, is that a child will go and get certified as being part of this without anyone ever checking to make sure where he came from or where the child came from, what the situation was from which the child came from. Could be in law enforcement if he was being mistreated, but this child might not divulge that to anyone without further investigation. So I just wanted to make sure that everything that's going on here has a due process trail that ensures that someone's not going to fall through the cracks, get into this, get a driver's license when his parents may know that he is not a responsible person that should be driving, and spin off from there in some way that we don't anticipate.
Sure, of course. And I think that what maybe can alleviate some of your concerns is that the social services organizations who are authorized in this bill to certify the individual, those are all folks who will know the individual and know the family circumstance. So they have a responsibility to understand, it's not just I guess I would say, it's not just a 16, 17-year-old comes in to a provider that's listed there and says, I've got all sorts of these problems, and I saw this form on the website and I filled it out and I want you to sign it. That is not how this works. These are anytime you have a youth service provider that is engaging with the youth, they are also engaging with the family and understanding what is happening in the family situation. And then they make a professional determination about whether or not that they will sign this form.
I don't have any problem with that at all.
Yeah.
The problem I have is if that's not the case, and the child shows up at a homeless shelter, for example.
Yeah.
And someone there certifies that he's a homeless youth, right?
Yes.
And gets into that system without ever being any investigation as to where the child came from, who his parents are, what the situation was at home that might have caused him to be at that spot,
Mhm.
or whether or not he's a runaway or it should be in some other program.
Right. I'm understanding your question.
So I haven't seen anywhere here where it specifies, exactly what the procedure would be to make sure that that doesn't happen.
So the current procedures for all of those situations. So the first thing that would happen is that the protection of the youth, in terms of any kind of physical harm that they might be at risk of, or at risk of not having shelter or a place to lay their head, essentially. Those are the sort of immediate things. If there's any injury that's happened or anything, those are the immediate things. These are all professionals in the field that have experience working with youth, and they have responsibilities. So for instance, in school, they have a responsibility to report that if they find that there is evidence of abuse. They can't just ignore it. The same is true for people who work in shelters or any of those situations. So I feel confident that not only is the youth protected, but that there will be sufficient understanding of what the familial situation is. It's not a matter of the first thing to do is to protect the youth, and then the follow up on that is what is going on. Who are the people I need to talk to? So
what you're saying, just to clarify,
Yeah.
what I think I heard you asking,
yeah.
is a youth showing up at a homeless shelter isn't going to 5 minutes later get some certification that allows them to do all this. They do a lot
Absolutely
of
not.
checking. I think that's what I was hearing you ask.
Absolutely not.
But then when you're telling me who's doing the checking, I mean, obviously, if it required a background check or an investigative unit to determine where this child came from, if he wasn't disclosing, things, I could see that those people that you're talking about wouldn't have the capability of accessing criminal or other kinds of records that might help determine the situation.
I can tell you, based upon the hours and hours of testimony we've had in our committee, not only on this bill, but on homelessness in general over the last 5 years, that if law enforcement needs to get involved, they are involved. And that's a responsibility of somebody running a shelter. If they see that something is happening, and they're skilled in getting youth to open up. I'm trying to, use professional terms, but the reality is that when a youth shows up at especially a shelter that is designated for youth, and we have those that are designated for youth, those folks are trained professionals in understanding how to make that youth feel comfortable to share their full story. So if something needs to be reported to the police, if something needs to be reported to, as a required reporter of abuse, that I have full confidence that that is happening.
Thanks. Again, I'm looking for the step-by-step things. It's all right. I see we're not going to get there.
Well, probably we'll keep asking questions and come back if we need to get more clarifications. John had a question.
I don't know if this is helpful or not, but it might be. There's a section here about proof of certification. So it
Yes.
does point to,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have the bill in front of
No,
me.
it's okay. It's on page 7.
Oh, you got a written copy? All right, that's great.
As well, but, so what I'm seeing, Rep. Wood, is
Yeah.
about certification. And, references the form here, actually, it's a standardized form. So there's an intake set of
There is a whole intake
information
process.
that has to happen. which
Yes.
I think is helpful, I'm sure, if this person's willing to open up to, communicate why they want to be in this place here. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm seeing in this.
Yes, and that's
And I know
exactly
it doesn't reference,
the step by step
law
by step.
enforcement,
Yeah.
other kinds of things here, because that's not the purpose of the bill, is to provide what the form looks like, but to provide the intent. And that makes me feel good about what we're talking about here, because there is a process for that.
Yes, thank you.
Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
So I'm just trying to unsort what Rep. LaRouche is worried about. And again, I could be going wrong, but there is a youth that is having bad things done to them, and there's a real process in place for that. But there might be a youth who has done things. Is that the part that you're concerned about?
I'm concerned with a child of any sort, whether he's done something or not,
Okay,
showing up to a
Yeah.
facility where someone is certified to certify that this person should be in this program without ever going through the steps of finding out where did that child come from. In the event that the child is falsifying things and saying he's not wanting to be found out, then there's no authority there, no investigative process by which they could actually do that. And someone could be injured in the long term if that happened. I'm concerned about that. And I don't, just a testimonial, well, it never happens, doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
It's that one person that ends up in big problems because of it. That's the sticker.
okay.
Right. And what I'm trying to assure the representative of is that the trained professionals in the field that this youth is going to have to encounter in order to get this. Okay, so they can't just go anywhere and print off a form and get somebody to sign it. The trained professionals have responsibilities to not only the youth, but to law enforcement, to their professional credentials, to follow certain actions. And those actions are not going to all be enumerated in this bill, because that's not the purpose of the bill. Those are things that are contained elsewhere in statute. I don't know what else I can say to you, Representative, other than there is a process. There's qualified individuals. There are people who have specific training. And that's the best I can do for you.
Does the immunity clauses that you've got in here in any way affect the part that I'm talking about?
Immunity clauses only apply to the action that somebody would take with regard to what is in this bill.
but they could sign off on they wouldn't have any liability if they wrongfully signed off on, some form for.
Not based upon, if they did their due diligence and they performed in accordance with the statute, then they would have immunity.
But if there was neglect or they didn't.
And they did not report that, then they would not have.
They wouldn't,
Yeah, that's
is
good.
that, okay, all right,
Top of page 10.
top of page 10, thank you. Okay. Anybody, go ahead, Lynn.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that I suspect what the representative is asking about, I suspect this happens, is that whether it's a youth who is either not just with a family, but might be a foster child, or might be a non-emancipated child that's roaming around, high school student, for instance. I suspect some of them do go to homeless shelters, maybe as their initial contact with some of these people. And then from there, if the high school hasn't taken care of it or noticed it, they might very well be the first ones to notice it also.
They could very well.
Yeah, but the point is that I suspect is where the process would start.
The process could, I think that you're right when you say it is most likely the school is going to notice, first that their student has excessive absences. My guess is it's probably not the first time, in that, student's educational career, and that the students are most likely known to guidance counselors and teachers. Yeah, I mean, that is for this age group most likely where it would happen. Or as you said, if they're aware of shelter services for youth, lots of youth are not aware of that. And, I can tell you, I think that, we heard testimony that this is, oftentimes we find, and, I've seen it happen in my own community where there's, for whatever reason, there's struggle in the family. And that youth, another family takes them in, the friend's family in high school, their best friend's family takes them in, and they get through school and, things are okay. That youth doesn't have the ability to apply for a driver's permit, to get a doctor's appointment. And even though they're in a safe place, if they have, bunked in with another family, they still have the need to have access to these things. So things like getting a copy of your birth certificate, if you are wanting to, if something that's required for that, I don't know all the documentation requirements for things, but so yeah, I mean, we could probably all name situations where we've known of, teenagers that for whatever reason have a rough time at home. And so this is really trying to help those folks.
Yeah, sometimes they don't go to in the area. They go somewhere else. I mean,
Yeah.
I can remember a case of what this young lady went to Boston.
Mm.
Now, I don't know what she did down there, but it might have gone to a homeless shelter.
And maybe
We
was
have
brought
that
back,
here
yeah.
too. I mean, anyway.
yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
So do we have any other questions on this bill at this point? I'd like us to be able to vote it out, and we're gonna do the 9:38 next, so don't go too far. You're welcome to just stay right at the table. Any other discussion on this bill at this point? There are no amendments that we have. So I'd entertain a motion to support H 657 as amended by the Committee on Human Services. Mike? Second? Sure. Tiff? I'm not seeing that we need further discussion, so when the clerk is ready, you may call the roll.
Representative Bloomley,
Yes.
Representative Dickinson,
Yes.
Representative Feltus,
Yes.
Representative Kaczynski,
Yes.
Representative LaRoche,
Very reluctantly, yes.
Representative Roy,
Yes.
Representative Nigro.
Yeah.
For all yes, Representative Stevens.
Yes.
Representative Yakaponi.
Yes.
Representative Shaw,
Yes,
7-0.
thank you. And Tiff, I think you're the reporter of this bill. Okay. 11-0 Tiff. Thank you all. Thank you for coming down. It was really helpful to get the clarifications that.
Absolutely.
So we're going to switch gears and go to homelessness continuum bill, which is 938. We're now out of the 6s and 5s, so I'm not going to get as confused, I hope, on the bill numbers. And we have an amendment and we have a spreadsheet that's going to show us everything we need to know. If I find the bill.
Yes. 2-pager. It should say draft 3.1 at the top.
Yes.
I gave the spreadsheet to everyone who I thought would want a paper copy, but I have one, or no one has one.
It looks like this, if
If
somebody
anyone
wants to see what the governor proposed and what's being proposed in the bill with the same.
This would be on our web.
Yes,
Thank you.
Is 8. So Chair Wood, if you'd like to update us on what's happening with this bill, please.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned yesterday, we had the bill that you've already seen and had a walkthrough of, and we've answered a bunch of questions about, had section 14, just had one big lump sum in it, and crossover deadlines happen, and we needed to get the bill out of committee. So we knew that there would be an amendment because we wanted to delineate what some of those expenditures were going to be according to the language of the bill. So what you have before you is an amendment that is the same dollar amount, the same total dollar amounts, $82,634,153. That has not changed. And what you see after that is what has changed. And these are additions to section 14. And what it does is, as the bill states, FY27 is a transition year. We do not expect full implementation of all the elements in FY27. It is a pretty significant systemic, I hesitate to say restructuring because it's not really a system within state government right now, but we are creating that. So we knew that there would be opportunity or a necessity really to transition during this year. Transition for community partners, a transition for the Department for Children and Families staff. We're moving all homelessness services into the Office of Economic Opportunity. So the Economic Services Division has for many years run what's essentially called an emergency housing benefit. The benefit really has been for temporary emergency housing, and it did not provide anything else. What we have seen, particularly since the pandemic, is the folks in accessing emergency housing need considerably more supportive services in order to really transition to permanent housing. So in FY27, we agree that there needs to be a transition. So what you will see is a in-between state in this expenditure. You're going to appropriate whatever you appropriate in the big bill, but this is an expenditure. This is saying how the program will expend these funds. And the first is 39 million into what is known as the Housing Opportunity Program, the HOP program. I'm sure you've heard that. I'll let Nolan run through the breakout of general, federal, and special funds global commitment. So it's 39 million into what is currently understood as the Housing Opportunity Program, the HOP program. That funds a variety of shelter services and other supportive services. The biggest expense in there is shelter operations, but there are other supportive services in there as well. The next item is 4.4 million for shelter development. You might recall in the book that the Department for Children and Families gave us, there was what the administration is calling a housing proposal. They had, and you'll see the walkthrough when Nolan goes through the differences. I want to remind members that this amount is 1.6 million less than what is in, I think it was 6 million, what that was in the governor's. But I want to remind members that a very large chunk of $11 million that was left over in FY25 that we did not see through budget adjustment in this building that the department used for shelter development. So there is additional funds out there for shelter development besides what we have here. And then you will see 23,870,000 for emergency housing in hotels and motels as we strive to continue to reduce the use of hotels and motels. And I want to pause here just for a minute to give you some appropriations history about that so that you know how this has continued to evolve. I was able to go back 2 fiscal years in the time that I had, but in FY25, hotels and motels were appropriated in the emergency housing $44 million. That was a combination of one-time and base funding and also contingency funds that year that did come through. FY26, we appropriated $38.6 million in emergency housing. That's this current fiscal year. And this is at $23.87 million in emergency housing. So we are steadily decreasing the amount that is going to emergency housing. And the important thing about this bill is that this is investing in the supportive services that Vermonters need in order to actually successfully transition from those hotels and motels. So on the next page, you will see 2.4 million for case management. This is about $1 million more than what exists now in case management. And you see on number 5, 4.2 million. And that is for the current program of permanent supportive housing and family supportive housing. And there's the majority of that's in global commitment funds. 3 million for rental assistance. And this is through the Vermont State Housing Authority. They will provide rental assistance to those folks who are essentially waiting for a HUD voucher. And as you know, those are not very plentiful right now. And so if we don't provide rental assistance, people aren't going to get anywhere. They're not going to get into permanent housing. 500,000 for grants to municipalities. This is the first time we are making grants to municipalities. And we wanted to specifically show this. We wanted municipalities to see that they, that we have heard them and that there is some money going there to support them. And then 1.5 for emergency cold shelters. That's been done through a grant with Vermont Interfaith Action this year. They have been the sort of coordinator of that. And that was established in five or six communities this winter. And so that is continuing that. And then, sort of a catch-all for other. And then 3.1 million for staffing grants and contracts. And that is essentially the call center that the department uses. It includes the 21 staff positions that you've heard people talk about here, and the administrative functions for the operation of the program. So and all those things add up to the same dollar amount that is in the governor's budget.
I see you, Dave. We met yesterday with DCF and other folks at AHS to talk about this and make sure that the numbers were right. And they weren't at first, and then Wood went back and worked with them to get the numbers. So Human Services has been involved right from the beginning.
Yes. No, this is, I can tell you a little bit about the process just briefly. I sent a spreadsheet. We had the dollar amount, the total dollar amount. I've maintained my commitment to working within that dollar amount. And I sent a spreadsheet to the Agency of Human Services with Nolan's assistance. And it broke it out by all the different service levels that you see in the bill itself. They said, well, we appreciate that the total dollar amount is the same, but we need transition time. And in fact, we do say that in the bill, that we recognize that the FY '27 will be a transition year and that not all elements of this will proceed in FY '27, but they will be working towards full implementation in FY '28. And so we agreed with that. But I said that there were certain elements that we needed to see broken out. And these are the elements that we needed to see broken out. That number one is the rest of it, the sort of the flexibility that they have to, because they have a grant process that starts actually now coming up shortly in April, where they put out the grant opportunities for all of the shelter providers and HOP providers. And they're due back by the middle of May. We're going to be in hopefully the end game of the legislature. So in order for them to start on July 1st, and this is shelter providers, so it's people providing, emergency supports to people. They need to be able to access those funds on July 1st, whatever it ends up getting appropriated. So we agreed with that and said that we were willing to have this flexibility in this year, and then they've agreed to budget in the way that we've asked them to for next year.
Great.
So I have Dave and then Wayne.
Well, the question, who will be doing case management? I think you said 2.4 million.
That is for community case management, community partners.
So who will determine which community partners?
The Office of Economic Opportunity.
Do you imagine they'll do an RFP or?
They will likely put out the funding opportunity at the same time they do the HOP funds.
Okay. And could you remind me again, the cap on the number of motel rooms now, and what will it be under the bill?
It is 1,100 in non-winter weather. So for April 1 to November 30th,
1,100.
it's 1,100. And for winter weather, there is not a cap right now. Under this bill, the cap for non-winter weather is 700, and the cap for winter weather is 1,000.
What's the effective date on that? Is that as of July 1st?
That is as of July 1, yes.
So-
And that's what this dollar amount in here for hotels is based on.
So the bill gets passed and although I know grants are happening now, it won't be functional until July 1, but the cap will be 400 less than what it is this year.
Yes.
How do we imagine people getting assistance when there hasn't been time, unless it's happening in ways I'm not aware, to develop shelter capacity?
Well, the shelter capacity issue, I have always said, and I will go on the record as saying, we were never going to develop sufficient shelter capacity to deal with the full population of people who are experiencing homelessness. So there's over 4,000 people who are experiencing homelessness in the state. I make no illusions that this is serving every person who is homeless in the state. And is it serving fewer people than we are this year? The answer to that is yes. But it is providing a system that is going to provide more supportive services to those fewer individuals to create space in the system, hopefully, to be able to provide that transition to more permanent housing. So yeah, I make no illusions that this is serving every person who is homeless, and neither, I have to be clear, we do not do that now.
Right, and that wasn't my question. I wondered what was going to
Sorry.
happen to those people in that range of 700 to 1,100. The difference this year, do we just assume they're on their own,
They're pretty much, yeah, I'm.
as some are today?
I was just going to say, that's actually going to happen in a week, April 1st.
So
It's not going to be July 1st. It's going to be April 1st.
do we know the cap now, did you say during these months is unlimited?
During winter weather, it
Yeah,
is.
and-
Well, I
and
shouldn't say
it
it's
will
sorry, excuse me. There is no cap in statute or in the budget bill. However, it is capped by the availability of the number of hotel rooms that are available. And the DCF issues a monthly report and it's averaged right around 1,200,
Okay, so we're gonna go from 1,200 to
1,000.
1,000,
Mhm.
same thing, so
But we will have more shelter capacity next year than we do this year.
do you know how much more capacity? What's estimated?
It's grown by about 100 beds this year. I don't have the exact number because they're coming on at different times. They're in different stages of development. So I can't give you an exact number about when they would be available.
Why would we, it seems like, at least for this coming year, assuming the bill's passed, we're exposing more people to unprotected homelessness than we do this year. I understand
yes.
the beginning services.
Mhm.
Is that accurate?
Yes, that's what I said.
Yeah, I'm just trying to digest it. Why would I support that? I don't mean that in an argumentative way, but
I understand that. I understand that. I can tell you that this was not an easy bill. This was a bill that nearly died. And we came together. And I will say that as a person who's dealt in this space for the last 5 years, that is this my preferred bill? The answer is no. I'm not going to make any
is that for
qualms about
fiscal
that.
reasons primarily?
Um,
Or design or both?
I'm comfortable with the design. I am less comfortable with the fact that I know that this will serve less people. And, in terms of the actual provision of a roof over somebody's head. That's evident. And then, yes, it is because of budgetary reasons. And we feel as a committee that the trade-off of the status quo for a system that will provide more supportive services and case management and hopefully reduce the percentage of people who move into permanent housing and then become homeless again. Between 25 and 30% of those people return to homelessness. And
We hope to break that.
we want to break that cycle because we're using the same resources, for that. So.
Actually, David, no.
One follow-up.
Yes.
Will there be a system in place to determine who gets access to what we're providing?
Yes.
Or is it first come, first served? Could you just explain that to us? briefly?
There's a priority. There's a prioritization section in the bill. Anybody have a copy of the bill handy? I thought I was just talking about, because we've already gone through the bill. I thought I was just talking about the amendments.
Come on up if you want to.
I don't want to misstate them, but, we should just read them off from the bill.
Sure.
Representative Iacoboni.
Thank you, Karen. I've done it. Once,
What page? Okay, there we go. Okay, a person who is, I'm sorry, page 21. Person who's 65 years of age or older, has a disability, is a minor child, is pregnant, is experienced domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, human trafficking, or other dangerous life-threatening conditions, or is under court-ordered eviction or constructive eviction due to circumstances over which the household has no control. This is essentially the priorities of the current system. Wayne?
Yeah, I like to, my criticism last year about the whole hotel program. And I want to applaud this effort to teach them to depart into a program that actually tries to treat all the different types of people. And
Can we stop there?
Ask a relatively,
Okay, all right.
relatively benign question.
I know, it's all good.
Relatively.
Go ahead, buddy.
The emergency housing money, the governor's recommend was 21.6, and you've got to 23.9. I'm assuming that, I don't like assuming because you know what that word means.
You do.
Assuming that the agency helped you come to that number in terms of what's practical.
They, so let me be clear that the governor's proposal was to reduce even further access to hotels and motels. We came to a compromise that's between what we want, we meaning my committee, and what the governor wanted. And what's in the bill is the compromise. And so the governor's, I have an email which I shared with your chair that says the administration is supportive of the direction of the bill.
Did you have testimony to the need? I just want to know, you're developing a system here.
Yes,
Within the development of that system, with the objective of eventually doing away with the hotel motel program, then was it just an arbitrary picking of some of the people who wanted 2.3? Or
no.
was it based upon knowing that you didn't have other capacities?
It was based upon that we knew we were not going to, there was nobody on my committee. I shouldn't say nobody. I would say 10 out of the 11 people on my committee felt that the reduction that was in the governor's proposal was too low. And yet we didn't have sufficient funds to be able to invest in the system that we're creating here unless we reduced it from what we are currently doing, which is what I was,
So you're proposing to use that money to help improve the system.
Exactly.
And the expectation is that over time, this number's going to continue to go down.
Right.
Yes.
As we build more capacity.
I don't think it will,
more people
I
get
don't think,
involved.
I want to be transparent. I don't think it's ever going to be zero. It hasn't been for a long time, and this program dates back decades. And it just has grown as the rate of homelessness has grown in the state.
Goals often are zero and they're never approachable.
Yeah, I'm not going to say my goal is zero. I just wanted to be clear about that.
Goals everybody has.
My goal
but
is zero.
Many fewer.
Yeah, I understand your goal.
Tom?
I just want to take a minute to thank you for your work and your committee's work. This has been very much a part of both housing in general and human services efforts to try to reduce homelessness. It will never be zero. I just wanted to share when I was on the board at Down Street Housing during the last decade, where Governor Shumlin said 15% of all housing that receives state money should be put aside for people who are experiencing homelessness, which we were very close to. It didn't take us long to get over 15%, but the important piece was when we created a new building, there were 4 apartments that were put aside to match that 15%. And it took over 20 applications of people who were experiencing homelessness that could qualify for that housing. So it's not as simple as saying, oh, you're homeless, here's a place to go, even when there's a place that provides the services that you're trying to provide for us. I just want to real this. That's a real life check on things. And I think your committee has struggled with having to make the allowances of what we're allowed to afford and what we're allowed to spend on. But I appreciate how hard the wrestling has been on this, not just this year, not just this session, but for the last 5 or 7 years when it's really exploded. So I just wanted to, I support the bill. I acknowledge that you're making changes that don't sound good to some people, but it's what's possible. And that is really important for us to acknowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Stevens. And I will say that on the housing side, the housing folks have stepped up. That figure that was 15% is now closer to 30%, and in some cases 40%. And that's still not enough, but it is improvement. And one of the key things that we find, and you know, you all don't have the sort of hours of testimony that we've had on this, obviously, but there's a coordinated entry system that prioritizes people for the permanent housing when those vacancies become available or when new buildings come online. And as Representative Stevens says, they often have to go through a number of people, but there is a prioritization system for access to new available housing or vacancies that occur.
I just want to say, from a somebody who has this budget, and the GA and the HUF budget, I really appreciate being able to look at those categories,
Yes.
because it has been kind of a black hole in the past, and I think it will help ensure greater accountability. It'll also give us just more data about, well, where are we underspending? Where are we, tending to run hot? And how might we tweak that over time? So anyway, I really appreciate that your work on to that.
And next year it will be even better because it will be by all the categories in the bill.
Which is great. Thank you for all your work, Lynn.
Yeah, well, talking about more permanent housing. Did your committee get testimony on how many or where does that go for, VHCB housing and VHIP and all the different kinds of housing where people are allowed, coordinated, whatever the word would be, to go and find a permanent place to live. And obviously one of the other things that I think that needs to be addressed more is the recidivism of this homeless churn that we have.
Yeah, so I'll deal with the first one. And yes, we had testimony from VHCB, and I've worked with the staff there because, I'll be honest, I haven't always agreed with the priorities of VHCB. And we have worked through that. I'll give you for instance, they are going out and in places where we know that there is a lack of affordable housing. I'll use Rutland County as an example. They were not getting proposals from Rutland County, yet we knew we had a large contingent of people who were homeless in Rutland County. And, so I will say that I had some challenging conversations, and this has been over the last couple of years, and they are using data. They use data and to look at where based on the coordinated entry system, and that's only one component of what they have to deal with. It's a broader group, but so I'm happy to say that they are actively pursuing those places and developments in the areas where there are larger pockets of people who are homeless. So that's been a good development. And yes, we have testimony from them every year because they have been very busy over the last few years with the investments we've been able to make with federal funds. And of course, that's slowing down now or kind of stopped, but those projects are still in the pipeline and still coming online. With regard to the, return to homelessness, that's really one of the key elements. It's one of the data points that we request in the bill. That's one of the ways that we'll measure the effectiveness of this bill is reduction in the percentage of people who are returning to homelessness after having been placed in permanent housing.
How about VHIP? Do you ever hear from VHIP?
We didn't hear from VHIP this year, but we have heard from the Department of Housing and Community Development multiple times, last year included. We keep our eye on VHIP, to be perfectly honest. The administration last year wanted to remove the prioritization for people who are homeless, and we stopped that in my committee. They did not remove that priority this year. So it's still there. So I didn't feel a need to have them in this year.
Thank you. Chair Wood, did you vote on your amendment in your committee?
Yes, it was 9-0.
Okay. I'm gonna write that down. Okay, any other questions? If I'd like to vote on this bill, Wayne?
It's just quickly, what were the objections of those who didn't want?
We had, one member did not state their objections, they just voted no. The other member, gave a, little speech. Essentially, the long and short of us, it was too much money for her.
It's the same amount as in the governor's.
It's the same as amount as is in the governor's budget, yes.
What about the full bill?
911.
Excellent. Thank you.
I looked that one up before. Okay, so, Chairwood.
Are you done with me?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. We're about to vote. If you want to say the vote, you're welcome to, but I know you have worked hard on this for years and we keep getting close to the finish line and it feels like this is finally the year. I love the fact that there's accountability also for those that are using this program to get the services and that the intent to reduce the revolving door of people entering homelessness and one just feels like success is written. So I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Your committee have done.
Thank you. Yes, I think data is important. I mean, that is one of we have to, it's a significant investment. So we should be measuring, whether we're improving the status of homelessness in Vermont. And if we're not, then we need to come back to the drawing board. But I think that this is a good effort to do that.
Thank you.
Right.
So I think, Nolan, we can't let you.
No, just for the record, Nolan Wentworth Fiscal. For anyone who has the hard copy, I found a typo. It's kind of important. Top where it says the amendment is just times 1,000, it should be times 1 million.
Oh.
That's
I left off a couple zeros. It's corrected online.
A lot of issues with zeros in this committee today. It's still the same amount of money, it's just the wrong.
Now it's the same as the government. Anyway, those are the hard factors.
Thank you. The bottom lines are the same. All right, so Katie, are we voting on the bill as amended by Human Services that was amended this morning? How do we do this?
You have to take 2 votes, probably.
Yeah, you have to vote to move the bill out of committee. Right, and then you'd also probably speak a straw poll on the amendment.
The amendment, which just gets us to the numbers that we want in the whole bill, so
It's not your amendment, it's their amendment.
it's their amendment. But they voted it out of committee, but we aren't in possession of the amendment, even though we're in possession of the bill? Pardon me for being confused.
Amendment.
You're gonna do this on the floor? Okay. Okay,
So we're not doing it here,
we're not doing the amendment here.
just doing the bill.
She's gonna do it on the floor, but we're gonna end up with these numbers that match,
Yeah.
right? So that hasn't changed. Okay.
No, and
The
you
program
can take a
hasn't-
straw poll on the amendment.
Right. We can take a straw poll on the amendment.
The bill had this number.
Yes.
The
It
bill
just
has-
wasn't broken down.
That's right. That's right.
It has that same number. No.
Right, so the bill has the right number in it. The detail of this wasn't in the bill. The amendment will explain the detail of the bill. Okay, so we could vote on the bill. And then once the amendment is presented, we will do a straw poll next week sometime on the rest of it. Okay,
Oh, okay.
I think.
You can just straw poll.
Can we do a straw poll now?
You
Yeah.
can do
Do a
it,
straw
right.
poll now.
Okay, that would be a lot better, wouldn't it? We can still vote on the bill first?
Yeah.
Let's vote on the bill first. Is there a motion to approve H 938? If? And that's it, there's not as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I think we're good. If the clerk is ready, you may call the roll.
Representative Lilly,
Yes.
Representative Dickinson,
Yes.
Representative Feltus,
Yes.
Representative Kacenka,
Yes.
Representative Roche,
Yes.
Representative Wawicki,
Yes.
Representative Nigro,
Yes.
Representative Squirrel, yes, Representative Stevens.
Yes.
Representative Yakavoni,
No,
and Representative Shy.
Yes.
10-1-0, sorry.
And Tip is the reporter. Let's do a straw poll on the amendment from members of not Ways and Means, Human Services Committee. And we can just stick that on the straw poll, I guess, is there, we have to do a motion, I guess?
Yeah, I can do that.
Let's do a motion to approve the straw, on a straw poll, the amendment of members of Human Services. Is there a motion?
Yes, so.
Thank you. Is there a second?
So
Thank you. Okay, and when you're ready, Federal.
Okay, Representative Blumenle,
Yes.
Representative Dickinson,
Yes.
Representative Feltes,
Yes.
Representative Kaczynski,
Yes.
Representative Roche,
Yes.
Representative Rowicki,
Yes.
Representative Nyker,
Yes.
Representative Squirrel, yes, Representative Stevens.
Yes.
Representative Yakavoni,
Yes.
and Representative. Shah.
Yes.
Roll call 11-0.
I'll pull 11-0-0. There we go.
Thank you for your time and attention on this.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank the Human Services Committee
Yeah.
for coming up with a compromise with the administration. So it's,
Yes.
it can be supported by everybody.
Share our gratitude and thanks.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Feels like we've done a lot. So I think we'll chat for the moment, maybe with Emily on what we want to do. We've now passed out. Okay, we have passed out 5 of the 7 bills that we're going to do this afternoon. We're going to do the yield bill and the emergency management bill that Maureen's been working on, that we took some things out and moved other things that are in the budget. So there's some amendment, one big amendment that's coming. So we'll do those 2 after lunch. And I'm thinking maybe I don't know what we already have. Emily, should we have Grady come and do the language first and then we can go back to the bills? So, because I know you guys all have work to do and I don't want to hold you up because we're doing bills, if there's things that would be helpful to have us do.
I mean, I think it is 11:50, I believe. We're meeting with the speaker
At 12, yes, I am.
I don't know if it makes sense to try to do anything.
I'm not trying to do anything now, I'm just saying after lunch, do we have Grady first before we do bills?
Yeah, sure. Doesn't matter.
Okay, so. Do you think my meeting will be done by 12:45 and we can just have an hour sort of that way? Do you have any ideas, since you know my schedule? Let's assume, let's come back here at 12:45 and have Grady started on the language, and then we'll do the other bills. After that, and then we have to see the spreadsheet as well. So I'll talk with Emily about the rest of the details, but we'll start with Grady. Mike?
Can I change topics just for a
You
minute?
may.
And I'd like to put something out to the committee. We put a list together of our spending priorities and what we could do with that $20 million. And I've received a few emails that are calling it Chair Shy's list. And I believe we all worked to put that together. And I hope we can get the word out that this is a collective.
Yes.
This is all of our efforts here. This came from all of us.
Thank you.
Not one person putting it priority.
Thank
And
you.
I just want to make sure that
Mhm.
as a public statement that we can all agree on that. Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, can we call it the committee list, please? People who were writing it, the committee has more letters than my last name, which is always spelled wrong anyway, so just be ready. Yeah, both, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for making that. I appreciate that. It's our budget. And I feel good about that. So, thank you. All right, let's go up live, have lunch.